Four drivers, one crown. WRC's greatest title fight. Wales 2001. It's November 2001, and the Welsh forests are doing exactly what they're famous for. It's cold, wet and miserable. Perfect conditions for deciding one of the most dramatic World Rally Championship battles of all time. Arriving in Cardiff are four heavyweights of the sport: Colin McRae, Richard Burns, Tommi Mäkinen and Carlos Sainz. And every single one of them still has a mathematical shot at the title. McRae leads the standings, Mäkinen is just 1 point behind, Burns sits just a single point further back, Sainz, the outsider, lurks with a slim but still real chance. By the end of this rally, one of them will be world champion. But the way it happens, nobody in 2001 could have predicted. First, the man leading the points, Colin McRae, in the WRC Focus 2001. A former World Rally Champion, adored by the fans, notorious for one approach, absolutely flat out. If there's a win on offer, Colin's going to go for it, even if it means risking everything. Then there's Richard Burns in the blue and gold Subaru Impreza. He's almost the opposite, calm, methodical, clinical. Burns doesn't always look spectacular, but he's always thinking, always calculating, but always playing the long game. Next up, Tommi Mäkinen in the Mitsubishi. 4 world titles already under his belt, ruthless consistency, huge experience and a reputation for grinding out results in all conditions. And finally, Carlos Sainz, also in a Ford Focus WRC 2001, the Professor. Relentless, ultra-professional, a driver who lives on discipline and precision. His chances are slim. He needs a win and for others to hit trouble, but this is rallying. Stranger things have happened. 4 drivers, 3 previous world champions, 1 final battleground, the forests of Wales. To understand how we got to this point, you have to look at the season that came before it, a year where almost nobody had a clean run. McRae and co-driver Nicky Grist started 2001 with speed, but almost no luck. In Monte Carlo, they climbed into the lead and were fighting with Tommi Mäkinen on the legendary Col de Torini until a fly-by-wire throttle issue struck. They spun in a hairpin, the car idled in the middle of the road, and Colin shouted he had no throttle. They were told on the radio to reboot the system, so they're sitting there on the Torini, power cycling the car, and just as they're trying to reset it, Mäkinen blasts past. The restart works briefly, then the throttle plays up again. Eventually, they tried to hook up a manual cable by the side of the road, under the eye of the TV helicopter. Colin hurls tools in frustration, and the rally is gone. Sweden brings a spin into a snowbank and 5 minutes lost. Portugal, the Focus dies with an engine failure in torrential conditions. Spain, a fuel pump problem stops them again. 4 rallies, 0 points. You'd think that would be the end of their title hopes. But the truth is, nobody else is really having a smooth time either. Mäkinen grabs wins in Monte and Portugal, and the podium in Spain, but even he isn't escaping completely. Burns and Gronholm are also stumbling through retirements and problems. Then, everything changes. On Rally Argentina, Colin and Nicky are unbeatable, fastest by over 17 seconds on the first proper stage. They lead from start to finish, then they follow it up with a win in Cyprus, then the Acropolis, 3 of the roughest, toughest rallies of the season, and McRae wins all 3. Suddenly, from 0 points after 4 rallies, they're tied with Mäkinen for the lead of the championship. The Ford looks tough, Colin looks untouchable, and the whole mood at Ford flips from despair to we might actually do this. But as always in rallying, the sport finds a way to bite back. On the Safari Rally, the steering fails at low speed on a slow section and they're out. In New Zealand, road position games come into play. Burns leads, McRae is second, and Colin starts eating into Richard's leads thanks to a cleaner line. The gap comes down to around 15 seconds until McRae spins, pushing too hard, and the chance of another win disappears. Then comes Australia, and with it a moment that many people see as one of the big what-ifs in this title fight. The organisers, reacting to the previous controversies, let the drivers choose their road position. McRae is late to the order picking ceremony, gets penalised to the back of the queue and ends up running right at the front of the road on Saturday. He loses over 1 minute and 40 seconds sweeping the loose gravel. He salvages 5th place and 2 points, but it feels like a missed opportunity. Even so, by the time the circus rolls into Cardiff, Colin McRae leads the standings on 42 points. Mäkinen has 41, Burns has 40, and Sainz is not completely out of it on 33. Everything comes down to the Network Q Rally of Great Britain. The rally begins in Cardiff. With a short super special stage around the docks, it's more show than substance, but it's the first chance to see the title contenders head to head. The main event of the night is clear. McRae versus Burns, two British heroes both trying to become champion on their home soil. The atmosphere is electric. McRae beats Burns in their heat and sets the overall fastest time. First blood to Colin, and the Welsh crowd absolutely loves it. Burns isn't far behind and he doesn't look bothered. This kind of short stage proves very little. The real title fight starts in the forests. After that quick blast, everyone heads back, knowing that Friday will be the real test. Friday morning, and the crews head into the classic Welsh stages: St Gwyno, Teal, and Rhondda. Narrow, fast, lined with trees, with grip levels that can change with every car that goes through. McRae starts as exactly as you'd expect, absolutely flat out. He wins St Gwyno and looks in complete control. The focus looks planted, the notes are flowing, and the timing screens say one thing: Colin is the man to beat. But just behind the headline, something crucial happens. On that same morning, Tommi Mäkinen's Mitsubishi hits a marked hole in the road. Every other car drives the same line with no issue, but for Mäkinen, something lets go. The suspension collapses, his Lancer limps, and he's out. His final rally with Mitsubishi, after years of success, ends on the opening day. His world title hopes disappear with it. Suddenly, the four-way fight becomes three. McRae versus Burns versus Sainz. Sainz runs into trouble too, a puncture and trouble with the moose insert, and loses time. That pushes him down the order. The spotlight narrows further. It's really between McRae and Burns now. On tile, the Peugeots of Gronholm and Orioles show their speed. McRae's lead over Gronholm is tiny, just a couple of tenths. Burns sits a few seconds back, watching the times carefully, not taking big risks. Then comes Rhondda. It's foggy, greasy and fast, the kind of stage that can either make a legend or the end of a season. On board, you can hear Nicky Grist calling the notes as the focus flies between the trees. A series of fast corners, one after another, and then a sequence that will be replayed, analysed and remembered for decades. Grist calls into 6 crest, 70, 6 left tightens and 6 right tightens to 5 minus. Colin chooses a line, commits, but on the inside, hidden in the grass, there's a small bank or ledge that they cannot see. The front of the car hits it, and instead of sliding through, the focus is launched. Nicky later described what happened next. It corkscrewed us through the air. Land, sky, trees, land, sky, trees. And then bing, bang, 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 boosh. And that was it. The car finally lands, badly damaged but upright. Steam, broken bodywork, the bonnet folded up in front of the windscreen. Inside, there's just shock and silence. Nicky asks if Colin is okay. Colin says yes. They both know in that moment that their championship is gone. For McRae and Grist, it feels like they've snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. It's only stage 4, but this is the moment their season falls apart. Just a little further down the stage, Richard Burns and Robert Reed arrive on the scene. They see the wreck focus and the reality of the situation hits them. One of their main rivals is out, and the title picture has suddenly changed. A few corners later, Burns almost puts his own Impreza off, overshooting a corner and backing it into a junction. You can feel the tension in every decision. By the end of Friday, the leaderboard has completely transformed. Marcus Gronholm, the defending champion, now leads the rally for Peugeot. Burns sits in second place, about half a minute behind, with Harry Rovanperä close behind him. Sainz has fought his way back to 5th after his earlier issues. Mäkinen is out, McRae is out. Burns no longer needs to win the rally. His job now is simple in theory, but incredibly difficult in practice. Keep his Impreza somewhere inside the top 4. That's enough to make him world champion, no matter what anyone else does. For McRae, it's a brutal blow. He tells the media it's the biggest disappointment of his career so far. Everyone at Ford is visibly gutted. The home event, the chance for both drivers and manufacturer titles all gone in one big crash. And yet the rally still has more drama to come. Saturday should have been a day of steady management for Burns and the Subaru, and a day of attack for Sainz, trying to drag himself back into the picture. It turns into something much more serious. Early in the morning, there's a scare when Burns' Subaru refuses to fire, leaving Parc Fermé. The crew end up changing the spark plugs on the spot. It's controlled panic, but they get it going and he continues, just about. Out in the forest, Gronom keeps doing his thing, at the front, fast, tidy, completely in control. Burns, now in a solid second place, resists the temptation to chase him. Rovanperä applies some pressure from behind, but Burns knows he just needs to avoid the mistakes. Then comes the second run through Brekva. In poor visibility, the slippery conditions, Carlos Sainz goes off the road at a junction and hits a group of spectators. It's the nightmare scenario. Around 15 people are injured, air ambulances are called in, and they land in the stage. 2 stages are cancelled. The whole tone of the event shifts instantly. Sainz and co-driver Lewis Moya are physically okay, but emotionally they're shattered. Ford makes the decision to withdraw Sainz and teammate Mark Higgins from the rally. At this point, the manufacturer's title really doesn't matter. All focus is on the condition of the spectators. Burns, talking afterwards, explains that in moments like this, the championship feels very small. All he can think about is hoping that everyone involved recovers quickly. The service park that evening is quiet. Nobody is in a celebratory mood. Gronom leads comfortably, Burns is second, Rovanperä is third. Colin McRae, Colin's brother, is having a great run in fourth in the Hyundai, but no one is talking much about the times. The rally has taken a darker tone. Sunday dawns with 4 stages left. Riola, Ronda again, a second pass of Riola, and the final run through Margam Park. On paper, Richard Burns' job now is straightforward. He's second overnight and he actually has room to slip back to fourth and still take the title. But this is Rally GB. Nothing is guaranteed until you see the finish ramp. Gronholm continues to set the pace, proving just how good the Peugeot is. He's winning stages and enjoying himself. Rovanperä is sensing a chance at second place, pushes hard and eventually nips ahead of Burns, dropping the Subaru down to third. For Burns and Reed, that's still more than enough. Their focus is entirely on bringing the car home in one piece. Further back, there are nice side stories. Colin McRae fights wiper problems in heavy rain and rigs up a makeshift solution using a radio cable, dragging the wiper blade manually. It works well enough for him to secure an excellent 4th place. Skoda grab a strong result with Armin Schwartz in 5th, and Kenneth Ferrickson rounds out the top 6 for Hyundai. At the front though, the real headline is set. Gronom wins the rally outright for Peugeot, dominating the event with a run of fastest times. Rovanperä finishes second, and in third, doing exactly what he needed to do, is Richard Burns. He may not have taken a 4th straight Rally GB victory, but it doesn't matter. These 4 points for 3rd place are enough. Richard Burns and Robert Reed are World Rally Champions. At the end of the final stage, Margam 2, Burns reaches over, grabs Robert Reed by the arm and shouts, "You are the best in the world." It's raw and genuine, a release of all the pressure of the season. He tells the TV cameras he cannot quite believe it. That you can't imagine how good it feels until you're actually there. You can hear him almost stumble over his words as it sinks in. The first, and still the only, British driver to win the World Rally Championship. Gronom, who will be his teammate at Peugeot the following year, is one of the first to congratulate him. There's huge respect between them. Burns didn't win this rally. He didn't need to. He won the war, not the battle, and he did it by playing the long game better than anyone else in 2001. For Colin McRae, this will always be one of the great what-ifs. He came into his home rally leading the championship. He was on incredible form, with 3 big wins behind him. He started Wales as the favourite, and it all ended on a hidden bump in a blind fast section on stage 4. As Jimmy McRae later said, sometimes it comes down to a few centimetres. If Colin had just been that tiny bit wider and missed the bank, he might have carried on. Maybe he'd have built the gap he wanted. Maybe we'd be telling the story very differently. Malcolm Wilson admitted it was one of the hardest moments he'd had in rallying, after years of building the Focus programme, to see the title slip away so suddenly at the final round. For Tommi Mäkinen, Wales 2001 and a painful farewell to Mitsubishi, a mysterious suspension failure in a marked hole on a line everyone else used, no fault from the driver, just brutal luck of rallying. Had that not happened, he'd have been right in this fight until the end as well. For Carlos Sainz, the rally is overshadowed by the spectator accident at Brekva. Even though the injuries thankfully weren't fatal, it's the kind of incident that leaves a mark on a driver's soul. It wasn't the way anyone wanted his title challenge to end. And for Burns, there's one more layer of emotion. Just a year later, in 2002, he would be diagnosed with a brain tumour. His 2001 title would not just his first, but his only championship. He never again had the chance to fight at the very peak of the sport in the same way. He passed away in 2005, aged just 34. It adds a bittersweet weight to that podium in Wales, because looking back, you realise this wasn't just a clever driver winning a close title race, it was the high point of a career that would tragically be cut short. Wales 2001. 4 drivers arrived with a chance at the crown. Each of them had a story. Each of them had a reason to believe this could be their year. Mäkinen, the reigning giant, chasing a 5th title. Sainz, the professor, hoping for one last shot at glory. McRae, Britain's hero, leading the points all or nothing. And Burns, the quiet strategist, always there, always scoring. In the end, one crashed out in spectacular fashion, one was taken out by mechanical failure, one saw his challenge end in a moment that nobody will ever forget, and one kept his head, played the long game and brought it home. This was the last great 4-way final round title fight the WRC has seen, a season of chaos, courage and heartbreak, and the day a calm, thoughtful Brit from Reading became world champion.